everybody. I'm Raquel SSG 2211, and we have more Kitty. Meow meow. And tonight we're going to talk about the Santa Clauses Season 2, Episode 5 and 6 review finals. The last 2 episodes of the season. Well, I am been busy for getting ready for Christmas. I think it falls on a Monday, I believe. Yeah, on a Monday.
Christmas Eve is Sunday and Christmas Day is Monday.
Yeah. And then you have Kwanzaa right after that.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. And then New Year's will follow up right after that.
New Year's Eve will be the following Sunday,
Yeah, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. It seems like the year just went pretty much fast by, didn't it?
It did. It's making me feel really depressed.
My birthday month is coming up next month in a few weeks.
Oh, right. Yeah, that is January. Yeah. I remember your birthday is close to my parents' birthday.
Mm-hmm. It's January 20th.
My dad was the 21st. I knew it was one of my parents who were close to on the birthday. I just couldn't remember which one.
Yeah, we'll fall on a Saturday. So yeah, birthday weekend. Woohoo! Yeah, so I got Christmas in a few weeks, my birthday. So double the presents, double the fun.
I might try to get you a late birthday gift.
Aw, you don't
have
to do
that. I won't have any money until sometimes in the beginning of the new year. But I will try. You're hard to shop for because I don't necessarily know I know you like lots of things, but I don't necessarily know what things you do currently have. So it's hard to surprise you with anything.
Well, the makeup kit you got me was pretty sweet.
I felt bad because I know you're not big on wearing makeup, but I figured it was subtle looking enough that you could wear it occasionally, and it was still cute anime memorabilia. Well, I don't know if that's memorabilia, but products to have,
Right. I do occasionally wear makeup, just not that often.
Yeah,
really.
I didn't think it was often, but I figured it was something small and subtle enough that you could wear it occasionally. And like I said, as soon as I saw anime, I immediately thought of you. I was like, oh, that's my girl right there.
Definitely. And I also love the Pusheen kitty.
Oh, that does make me sleep there. I'll make a note of that real quick. Because Pusheen, anything is
Pusheen. I love Pusheen kitty. I get a monthly subscription box. They do spring, summer, fall, winter, and I just got my winter box last week.
The notes are missing.
So yeah, I like getting those.
You have a subscription to the Pusheen?
Yeah, I get a subscription box.
That is so cute.
I only get 4 subscription boxes seasonally. So spring, summer, fall, winter. So that's 4 boxes I get.
Okay, that's not bad.
Seasonally, so yeah, it does take time to get here because it is coming from all the way from overseas too.
Right.
But I like it. Pretty happy with it.
I need to turn on my phone because it likes to go off at the most unexpected times, and nobody wants to hear my ringtone going off. There we go.
Yeah.
I sometimes forget about that because I don't necessarily have a whole lot of people that text or call, so I'll forget and I'll be like, oh crap.
All right, so let's get started with episode 5, Betty, Betty. Let's see. I need to bring up the screen. All right. We're at Chicago, Illinois, and Santa Polis. Chris and the camera.
I think
Santopolis.
Well, it's like metropolis, like the term metropolis. I think it's
it is. Hello, Saber Doom Squirrel. How are you?
Yeah, Doom Squirrel.
So like at Santopolis, there's Chris with the camera woman. So the rolling film, the woman reporter is like saying, I'm Chris Marino. I'm with Chris Marino, with owner of the Santopolis, once voted Illinois' saddest tourist attraction. Like,
damn. Oh, like, why'd you gotta be a bitch? Like,
I know, she's spicy in the scene,
right? Clearly did not want to get this assignment. I guess the news station gave her because she's like a bitch. Like, to be honest.
But says the park has recently undergone a magical makeover. They're calling it the Miracle on Dead Creek Road. Dead Creek Road. Like, yikes!
Sounds like a horror movie.
Yeah, not very Christmassy at all.
I know.
And she like turns over like, "Isn't that right, Chris?" And Chris like, "That's right, Jan. Apparently, her name is Jan." That the response has been incredibly overwhelming, and it actually brought him and his dad back together. And the woman turns to him and says, "No one knows your dad, Chris." Like, damn.
Yeah, she's kind of a bitch. Like, I really did not like her.
I didn't like it either.
Santa nicer.
And she's like, "So tell me, how did you pull this magical transformation off?" And it says she was here at Santopolis last year.
I needed a
test shot. I'm like, damn.
I know. Like, this woman is just like nonstop being a pain in the ass.
Salty little thing, isn't she?
I would have told her to get the fuck out. That's the third insult. Like, God.
Yeah. Well, but Chris doesn't really mind. He just keeps smiling and keeps going along with it, really.
Poor guy.
And he said he had a help from a very special person. And again, the woman reporter says, like, please don't say your dad.
Like, what the fuck?
Like, damn, she is salty. So much she puts coal in her stocking.
Right? Someone needs to.
Yeah, no, bah humbug to you.
Right? No shit.
Yeah. And she like, so Chris is like, I wish it was actually a real life Santa Claus. And again, Jan, the news reporter, says, I went to Syracuse for this. Again, she's
she's bitter.
Really salty. No Christmas cheer at all.
Yeah, not
with this lady.
Yeah, she's not very nice. But let's hop over to the next one. Oh, she looks savage as fuck right there.
Yep, she does. So
that unibrow just sends me. God almighty.
Yeah, so the Mad Santa comes in says proper name is Magnus Antis, and turns this to the porter. Yes, professional talking lady, it is I who is responsible for everything that is fruitful and good here. And then apparently, hey, Dad Man Walking 55, how are you?
Hello, Dad Man.
Apparently, Betty, who is like, currently on Cribble Crabble, sees this on the TV.
Anybody even figure out what Cribble Crabble was?
She I guess depending what line of the roster in, elves have to go to Cribble Crabble for a year to learning the wonders of the real world.
Oh, okay. It's kind of like that Amish sabbatical thing where you kind of go to see the real world for a little while.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It sounds like a game like Scrabble.
It does, doesn't it? Like, it sounds like it. Not only that, it sounds like the word of the fruity drinks.
But I guess it does sound like the word sabbatical too. So I mean, like a Scrabble sabbatical. I don't fucking know. The show kind of makes up its own words at this point.
Mm-hmm. Great. How are y'all tonight? I'm doing good. We're talking about the last 2 episodes of the Santa Clauses season 2 here.
Ooh.
And Betty's like, like I think
she's like, oh shit.
Oh no, troubles is upon us.
Yeah, she hasn't seen those faces in about 700 years.
Or 8, maybe 700.
Yeah, I think it was 700.
700.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Well, I can't get the scene, but so back to Santopolis. The news reporter, said, speaking of changes, I see Santa's wearing a vest now. And Ogle comes in saying, don't question the great one. And Betty literally drops her mug and says, gnomes.
Yep.
I guess she doesn't really like none of the elves like the gnomes.
Meow, dude, squirrel.
See if I can get it here. Difficult. All right, I guess it's as good as any. So back to the North Pole. Sandra Scott wants to head back to the office, but Mrs. Claus says, no, you need to lie down. And Santa Scott, in his normal look, doesn't want to because he knows the North Pole is in trouble, and they didn't, that they don't have time for this. And Mrs. Claus you don't know what's going on. If the North Pole is in danger, we need to, get back, Santa Scott back to health here. So Doc Martin comes in and wondering if she's too late, and because he doesn't look like Santa right now,
right?
And Santa Scott Sturcher, no, that isn't the case. This is what he looks like when he's not Santa. And Doc Martin says she forgot. It's always so shocking, and she tells him that to take off something, and he's like, what? And he's like, take the watch off. Now, if you remember, the watch is the same watch that he used for the second movie, and Hugo updated it to the that he can switch back to his normal self, or Santa Claus every time he wants. So he takes the watch off. And Doc Martin says, all we need to do is transfer you back to Santa Claus with this piece of cake. So she brings out a wooden hammer, and he said to her, like, what are you gonna do, misery me? and she points to the watch, and then she hammers the wooden hammer and breaks the watch. But there's nothing happening. He's still Scott. And Dr. Martin is stumped. Okay. And asks how exactly did this happen? And Scott says that another Santa came out of the woods, Mectus Antis, and he threw a magical snowball at him. Okay, so is snowball fighting here?
Well, it was a pink snowball.
A magical snowball. And Doc Martin said, well, using scented magic and other Santa is deliberating for both parties, but thinks he should get back his strength and powers in no time. And Mrs. Claus, asks, what's no time? And Doc Martin says, only time would tell. This is in the kitchen. Okay. Sorry, somebody just came in. Huh?
Somebody just came in?
Yeah, they were telling me something.
Oh, wow.
Sorry about that. As I was saying, Mrs. Claus, what's no time? Doc Martin says, only time will tell. Scott says, doesn't really have time. What else does she have? And she says, Doc Martin says she'll get some ice. And Santa Scott, jokingly says here, have we ever checked her credentials? And Mrs. Claus says she went to Northern. Scott expresses concern that the pole could be in danger, and that especially the North Pole could be in danger. Lunatics out there and might come back, and needs Cal to get his vest. Now, if you remember, the last episode, Cal went to Riley's house unannounced, saying she can't put up with this disappearing act with Cal being busy anymore, and breaks up with him right there and there. So out of anguish and frustration, he takes off the vest while Mantis, Antis, and Olga are trying to get caught up to them. And Cal takes the vest off, and it falls to the ground right on Magnus, Antis, and Olga's feet. So he doesn't have the vest anymore, which is not good. Said Kel says, okay, to go find his vest. Noel comes in, wondering if his best friend is hurt, saying he'll always be here for him. And Santa Scott asks him, why was Magnus Antis in Chicago? And I like this part right here. Let me see if I can get it on screen here. And this, do you remember this part, Moira? Mrs. Claus tells Noel, I want you to look into my eyes. What did you see? She shows you the old bit she used to do when she was still principal in the school, in the second movie. You're like, that's a callback to that. And
I did not remember that. That's crazy.
Yeah, that was a callback to that. Yeah, well, she still got it.
Right.
I thought that was a really nice nostalgic moment right there.
Right.
Mikey, how are you? Keep on you, Raquel. Merry Christmas to you, Moira, and both of your families. Thank you so much.
Christmas hugs.
Christmas hugs. And Noah's saying, I'm sorry. I wish I could tell you everything. I really do. But it's not his story to tell. And then we hear Betty saying it's hers.
Dun,
and Noel, Mm-hmm.
Which I don't understand because they were all out there. So I don't know why it wouldn't be his story too, you know?
Mm-hmm. And Noah's like surprised, like, you came back from Cribble Crabble early. Betty knows it's against the rules, but she saw them.
Right.
And Santa discussed like them, there's more than one him. Betty says, Man, Santa and Olga. And Santa's like, who's Olga? And how did this Magnus Agnes became Mad Santa and then turned into a nutcracker? Betty says, like, while you're asking, why don't you look like Santa? And questions to know how could he let this happen? And Noel's like, saying, honey buns, you chose the wrong successor, kind of like sarcastically right there. And Sandy Scott's like, not easy, is it? So Mrs. Claus says, let's have a seat. I'll have a seat. And Betty says, gonna tell a story. And after which, she'll hand hit her registration. And says in the beginning, Magnus Antis was a great Santa. Some say even the greatest of all time. And Noel's like, blasphemy. We all know the greatest Santa is right here, Santa Scott. And Santa Scott's like, no, I'll handle this. My ego's okay. If you have to pick one, which would it be? And Betty's like, of Santas, they always want to know where they rank. So, Cal is frantically looking for the Santa vest, like panicking. He's like, saying, no, this is bad. This is really bad. I'm the worst Santa ever. Sandra comes in wondering what's all the banging going on here. So, ladies, what's the show Santa Claus is really about? I've never seen this before. We'll get to that momentarily. So Cal says he says, I lost it. Sandra says, your mind, obviously, like, being sarcastic and spicy to her brother. It's like, Cal's like, no, my vest, my trading vest. Sandra tells him to retrace his steps. Cal thinks his dad's gonna kill him, and tells Sandra to tell Riley always loved her ears. And he's like, he's panicking. Sandra's like, hey, focus, stop freaking out. You'll find the vest, which has Santa so Cal and the vest have both Santa magic, which means that they're both connected. And Cal is like wondering if that's supposed to make him feel any better. Sandra says, if you want to find the vest, then you have to clear your mind. So Cal says done. So Sandra says, okay, control your thoughts, which Cal expresses that it will be difficult. Sandra says that Bafana taught her that, and says to take deep breaths, saying that she says to Cal that you got this. And we see a vision of Bad Santa with Olga, saying that Fraud Santa is parading around in the middle of the night like a common man, the insolence. Olga tells him to eat. That he's still using magic on another Santa, and he's struggling to eat. And Olga tells him to save your strength. You need to eat. You need to eat it. For that flying farce. And Santa says that they need to get to the North Pole to find his magic amulet. And when they'll do, they'll have enough power and strength to destroy everyone and everything. So this guy, Santa wants to literally destroy Christmas, take over the North Pole here, and give, I guess, every children coal, which is not good. And that's where the vision ends. So vision ends, and they're both whoa. And Sandra's wondering, did it work? Did you see the vest? Cal says yes. And she's like, okay, where is it? Let's go get it. Cal says no. Sandra's wondering, is it dangerous? Because she doesn't care. She's not afraid. And Cal says he lies right here, saying that he didn't actually see it. But Sandra's wait a minute, you said you did. And Cal's like, what I meant, I saw it at La Befana, and asks Sandra to please get it for her. And Sandra, thinks La Befana doesn't want to talk to her. Cal says one of the Santa powers is knowing what people need, and you need to make things right with La Befana. And Sandra says, okay. Saying that she will go to La Befana to get the vest. And Cal says, yeah, cool. And says, all right, Mr. Vesty. Cal Claus is coming to Chinatown or Cheetown. All right, so Betty is telling Santa, Mrs. Claus, the story, saying after a couple of centuries on a throne, a literal throne, Magnus Antis started to crack. He began obsessing over how ungrateful humans were, which led to an introduction of giving coal. And Nose says gnomes in disgust, I guess. Betty says Mantis Antis started to confiding in the gnomes more and more. The leader Olga fed into the mad Santa's paranoia, further poisoning against them. So we looked at there. We have a little past vision here. Betty says the gnomes began guarding the entrances and exits. They were even scary without the dumb masks, and they kept a constant watch on them getting ready. Back to the present, Senator Scott's wondering, get ready for what? Betty says a war none of us had any idea was coming. So a war. So we're in the reindeer room, and Cal's, guts the reins, put on the two reindeer, Donner and Blitzen. Says Donner and Blitzen, look, I'm just a boy standing in front of two reindeer, begging them to help. The two reindeer look at each other. Cal says, get to the real world so we can find the vest and stop the crazy man that Snowball Dad. And the two reindeer nod. And Cal's like, yes, because I don't have a plan B. That doesn't sound good at all. So back to Betty, telling more of the past of Man Santa's reign, saying that she was a nobody but feared the fate for Christmas. So another night of partying and drinking fermented eggnog. Just sounds gross. Had come to his predictable conclusion. She sought out the head elf to offer her services. We see Man Santa snoring. Betty says that Toots had been missing for months, and now her replacement Bernard was gone. Anyone who dared question Magnus Antis vanished. But Bernard had managed to leave a word of warning before they took him. That Man Santa was going to use Christmas rounds to punish humankind by turning all of the grateful children of the world into nutcrackers. So Man Santa comes in. Actually, no. Santa Scott says that Man Santa is a lunatic and he's out there somewhere, plotting. Santa Scott says to the security elf, saying, "Listen, you got to have hold of the control room. I want the whole North Pole locked down, close all vortexes," and tells the security elf to move. And Mrs. Claus asks Betty, "What happens next?" Noel says, "Terror, fear. We knew that any opposition would result in being banished beyond the lively woods forever. What we needed was a fearless leader." And he looks to Betty and saying that they found one. So back to Chicago, Illinois here. Man Santa says, okay, there it is. All right, revenge will be swift and sweet. I am Santa after all. And Olga questions Man Santa, you aren't turning them all into nutcrackers immediately, are you? It says she has a very detailed to-do list. And Man Santa's okay, let me see this hit list. It's been a while. I've given a good maiming. And Chris comes in saying, "So you're not doing the show?" Olga says, of course she's not doing the show. Man Santa says, let's not make any rash decisions. Rumor is there's going to be an agent in the the stage tonight. And Gogo growls. But we see a hit list. They go after one is Santa and Betty and Noel and the rest of the elves. So the elves are in danger here. So back to the North Pole here. Betty's saying that they knew they had to do was insurmountable, that the gnomes were armed and deadly. And Noel turns to Scott, like, whoa, why do you look like you're about to turn us away from meeting the wizard? And you see the mustache and the eyebrows coming back as Santa. So Santa Scott is slowly turning back into Santa Claus. And Santa Scott is like, his magic's coming back. And Mrs. Claus, like, says here, like, saying she feels like he's about to sell me a timeshare. And Biddy's like, no, he clearly looks as if Colonel Sanders and the Monopoly Man had a child. Like damn. That's funny. No, Betty asks if she could finish her story. That she went to the legendary figures for help. And they said they discussed it and get back to them. So they waited. And La Befana brought the news to them. So we looked in the past here. Noel's not sure. Betty says, like, I think we can get him if we come from. And La Befana comes in saying, it's me, La Befana. And said she doesn't have any good news and regrets to inform that the legendary figures cannot interfere in the doings of fellow legendary. And apologizes, say that they outvoted her, that they cannot help. And Eddie says, like, can't or cannot or will not. And Betty tells Eddie to stand down and thanks La Befana for trying, and said that they have to face Santa on their own, saying that they were up for it, and asks who's with her. Some of the elves run except for Gary the elf. Gary elf is very funny. Gary says, like, let him run. He gets like 20/20 vision. He doesn't have, like, I guess back then he did not have an eye patch. And he has a slingshot, amazing aim. What could go wrong? Plenty.
I love that, considering he now has both eyes at that moment.
I know.
What could go wrong? Like, oh boy.
Yeah, lost one of your eye. Well, I have an eye patch on it. Yeah. Befana says, like, Babina, I wish I could do more, and she leaves some kind of bag.
She leaves a book or something. I thought it looked like
it looked like like some kind of, like, brown knapsack kind of bag.
I guess it could be.
On the floor. She leaves. Noah's like, great, she left us laundry, and he says, I guess I'll do it. So Betty and Noah both look in the bag. We go back to the present. Santa Claus, like, wait, La Befana is a legendary figure. That doesn't make any sense. A legendary figure, so she's more than a witch, I guess. But I don't like. I'm curious as to which legendary figure she really is. Mrs. Claus is like, how can you say that? Santa Claus, like, because he met her. And legendary figures don't have any problems with this angry Santa Claus, but they're all over about me, about Cal. Remind me to bring that up at the next big meeting. So, like, Santa Claus clearly frustrated here. So, it was based on Santa Claus movies 1 and 2 and 3. Don't forget the third one. Rotten Tomatoes rated the series 57, while IMDb fans rated 6.4 out of 10. Latest stats. Right on. Gabriel Iglesias, I hope I'm saying that right. Not related to singers Julio or son Enrique, plays Kris Kringle and is known as one of the best stand-up comedians. His nickname's Fluffy, LOL. Oh, his nickname's Fluffy. I didn't know about that. That's cool. So at the Bafana's cabin, Sandra goes to meet Bafana. And you can see that Bafana's like reading a book saying spells. Some kind of like 1 million edition or something like that. And she senses someone's at the door. She waves the door to be opened, and we see Sandra. Sandra, is wondering if she had Cal's vest there. Bafana says no, that she would never take it. Vests make her look hippie. So Sandra's about to take off, but she has second thoughts and turns around and wants to apologize what she said before. That she was just real freaked out when she turned the Easter Bunny into a bunny. Really cute little bunny, by the way. And it was just trying to help. Bafana, says it's okay to be scared. And says to Sandra that what makes her scared, emotional moments like this. And the signals to her, give her a hug. They hugged. So Sandra says, okay, I need to do a lot of more training before we try to do anything, any crazy big spells. Bafana says she has a long history with transformation spells. They don't always go as planned. Your whole life changes in an instant, literally. That is what a transformation spell does. And Sandra notices a lemon on the table. She's like wondering what's that. Bafana says it's the Easter Bunny. Sandra's like says I think she thinks the Easter Bunny is trying to say something, but she doesn't speak fruit. Fair enough. Are you okay, kitty?
Sorry, it just made me laugh and I choked on it.
Careful.
I think I know a couple of people who do.
Oof.
I'm just kidding a little bit.
So Bafana's like, okay, come, we got into this mess together. We can figure this out together.
Sandra, to be fair, she did it though. She did turn into a mime. Yeah.
Sandra did turn this bunny a bunny. Sandra's like wondering, worried if she'll make everything worse, and said that her dad can't handle any more bad news. Bafana's like, it's the Easter Bunny. Nobody even noticed he was gone. Like, geez, man. Telling the Easter Bunny he's not important.
Yes, Mike, you had a hairball.
Yeah, hairball. Cough, cough. Sandra's like, no, it's not that. It's also Cal and Ronnie and Betty on Cribble Crabble and the missing Nutcracker. My dad's just dealing with so. And Bafana's like, wait, back up. A Nutcracker. And she's like, do you mean Mad Santa? And Sandra's like, who's that? He's the. Bafana's like, he's the reason that she has wonkily workers or something like that, or magic. Magic always has a price, and we don't even know what your magic is yet. So a little bell rings on the Christmas tree that Bafana has, and Sandra's like wondering if someone's here. Bafana says, that is the bye-bye bell. It means someone has left the North Pole. Did your Papa have lunch plans? Because I didn't get an invitation. And Sandra realizes right there and then the person who left was Cal. So, so Cal is fighting his fear right now. Riding a sleigh by himself. And he's like, I'm the slave of Dar Blitzen. And he's like trying to calm himself down, saying that he's fine, everything's fine. And he's like, as long as I don't go to the edge or open my eyes. So he's like, trying to conquer his fear of riding the sleigh. So we go back to Betty. She's still continuing her story, saying it was a couple of days before Christmas when the elves enacted their plan. So the elves were playing like some kind of like, I think they're playing kazoos and drums, and it said that the gnomes don't like that kind of type of sound. Betty said that the time has come. There was no going back. The elves and the gnomes face off. So Olga and Betty are like facing off with each other. Olga's like, you're supposed to be underground helping Magnus Antis prepare. Betty tells the elves to put down their weapons to the gnomes to help them get rid of Mad Santa or face the consequences. The gnomes laugh. One of the gnomes points his weapon towards Gary, saying that he's that one's his. And Gary's like, me, what did I do? Betty says, I'm sorry for what we have to do. No, says Betty, like, I'm glad I came here. I met you. Sunday we'll take that honeymoon. Betty turns to Noah and says, someday, and tells archers at the ready. The elves dip their arrows in some kind of gray sand and fire them. And they fire them, which apparently put the gnomes to sleep. Most of the gnomes. As you see there, like they're, the gnomes and elves are battling with each other. you go back to the present, and Santa's got like archers. I didn't see that coming. The arrows were cupids dipped into Sandman's sand. Lafana has given us everything. Betty said that La Befana has given everything that they needed. That was all pilfered from the legendaries. They also had Easter Bunny's weaponized eggs, Mother Nature's wind and lightning. We had everything we needed. At first, Olga was shocked we were fighting back. Then she realized our bigger plan. So Olga knows what's up. So she heads off. But Betty is close behind. Hey, Sandy, welcome. How are you doing? When you live with cats, furs everywhere. LOL. Indeed. So some of the gnomes are sleeping. So Olga takes Olga takes Mad Santa into the caves. Olga says, like, Mad Santa's unprotected, and this is what the elves wanted.
Oh, meow insanity.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I left the room for a minute. I saw some upsetting news, and I went to talk to Chris about it for a second.
Oh.
Well, I guess just to explain, here in Oklahoma, there's an area called Comanche County, and the district attorney there decided he's going to bring felony charges against the woman who was prescribed medical marijuana gummies while she was pregnant, and said, well, the baby didn't have its own medical card. I'm like, are you kidding right now?
That's terrible. That's the heck?
Insane. And so that's what I found upsetting. So sorry.
No worries. That doesn't really sound good at all.
Sounds like crazy talk.
So Olga said that Mad Santa is unprotected. This is what the elves wanted. So Noel says, Olga. Betty says, like, that she got her. And then Noel says, elves, into the rabbit hole. We see like a rabbit hole opening up in the ground. Betty says, using the Easter Bunny's rabbit hole, the fight moved underground. Everyone fought valiantly. Right here we see Olga and her gnome mask leaving Mad Santa away safely while eating a turkey leg, which looks delicious, by the way. And Mad Santa's like, this is lunacy. Did they that knew who I am? Olga's like, you could run faster if you rubbed the turkey leg in mead. Mad Santa's like, you can't run from a coup on an empty stomach. And Olga's like, you call this running? Mad Santa's like, says, no Santa has ever been forcibly removed. Olga says, like, this is way to safety. Mad Santa's like, how dare they call me Mad Santa? My name is Magnus Antis. May the man cause fear in people's may Magnus Antis cause fear in people for hundreds of years. And he drops the turkey leg in the sound of a mic, which is funny. And Manson just like says, watch these stalactites, are there mites? And he can't have a number. And he asks, are we going the right way? I'm all turned around and doesn't know where. And that's when the elves appear. Let's see if I can get it. And the gnome that we thought was Olga takes the mask off, and it's reveals to be Betty. And like Jazz sent us like saying, "It's you. I don't know your name, but it's you." Betty says she let Olga into the same trap earlier. That now they had both of them. Olga, who is tied up, saying she's like over here, and calls Massanta an idiot. Massanta's like, oh, real Olga. He turns to Betty, saying, "You did this. I never trusted you." Wanted to say, is it Janny? No, says her name is Betty, Betty. Massanta says thank you. Thank you for correcting me. For one day, I will make you all pay. Olga is like currently trying to get out of her ropes. And Massanta says, "I don't want to forget any of these masses who wronged me. Pond scum, cookies, crust, crumble, hickory, dickory, Ethel, not Bernard, and oh yes, my sweet little Betty. What is it? Betty. Olga asks Massanta, "Where's his amulet?" Massanta says he must have lost it in one of the caves. Doesn't matter because they can't do anything to him. And so we hear magic rumbling, and we see La Befana appear. And Massanta's like, Befana, what are you doing here? You can't touch me. Everyone knows legendary powers don't work on other legendaries. You're doing good. That's good. Raquel, was this series on Disney Plus? Yes. I'm keen here instead. Oh yeah, you were on Twitter and you went on YouTube. Thank you so much, Rixetti. Welcome.
Her.
Happy holidays and Merry Christmas. Yes, Merry Christmas. It should be here. Excuse me. It should be here before you know it.
Nike and insanity.
Indeed. I mean, I know I'm early. You're never too early to say Merry Christmas.
Well, I don't know. If someone said that to me on Halloween, I'd tell them to get fucked.
What?
Because I can't even go.
Well, yeah, actually after maybe like after Thanksgiving, it will be like more appropriate.
Yeah, if you're like, it's never too early. I'm offended by Walmart when I want to go buy 50% off Halloween candy, and there's some fucking Santa decorations staring at me, and I'm like,
yeah, that's too early. Yeah, I feel you on there.
Like, no, this has got to stop.
Now I want to see it tomorrow on Halloween. I guess you have to wait till next year.
Down there. Don't make me go down there, sir. Like, it's a big state. I don't know if I'm finding. If I even have the right state. I think he's in your state, I think.
Maybe.
That's a big fucking place.
It is. Bring it, yo.
He's probably got infrared cameras, deer cameras, all strapped. It is Texas.
Texas, baby. So. Oh yeah.
I thought so. She's like, high five.
Yeah. Miss Moira, do you actually get snow in the area of Oklahoma?
It's very rare. We usually don't get much.
Blafana says it is true. Legendaries have no powers against one of their own. And Mad Santa's like, cracks his neck. Like he's like trying, like he's ready to go down, I guess. And Blafana says this is why she, an hour ago, turned her registration by Crow. And Mad Santa's like, whatever did to you, was it me cheating? Was it me not cheating, threatening to turn the world's children into nutcrackers? And I admit, yes, sometimes I can go a little far. And Olga's like still trying to get out of her ropes. Manson says, is it a crime to be a little moody? Fine, go ahead, make it your best shot, and for your sake, you better hope it's everlasting. Olga finally unties her ropes and unties the ropes off her feet. She says, she screams no and lunges towards Mad Santa, and then turns Mad Santa into a nutcracker with Olga on his back, apparently. Two years today since I moved here. It's been a lot longer for me. I don't know how. Like, it's been more than 2 years. Maybe a decade or so, somewhere between there. It's snowing right now here in Scarborough, Burr, 30F. That's cold. Congrats to your Dallas making the playoffs despite the Buffalo Bills killing you on national TV.
Oh shit, is it the 1990s already? What? Oh, sorry. I have an ex-boyfriend somewhere who's incredibly happy right now, I bet.
Yeah. As she undid the ropes holding her robe together, she grinned with a look of lust twinkling in her eyes. What? Oh, wait, wrong story.
Bruh.
Like, what? What
kind of weird-ass romance novel are you reading? God dang.
No.
God dang.
No.
Lusty twinkle in her eye. Like, God dang.
No.
Yeah.
Betty says that was the last of the Wordle saw Mad Santa until now. And Santa's like, wow. I mean, wow. Mrs. Claus says the same thing. And then we finally see Santa Scott back to his usual self. And Mrs. Claus, like, you look like you're like training how to make sausages. And she says she loves it. Is like jacket kind of getting a little tight? Santa says, yeah, you ought to feel the pants. And he says he's going to change and come right back.
Insanity. The fuck?
I'm ready. I'm reading the Christmas story called Christmas in Cleveland. I should write dirty stories. Oh well. And Mikey says, agreed. Sandy Claus. Hey, I want to read spicy material for Christmas. Can't get, I guess. We go to let's see if I can get it here. Chicago, Illinois. Chris is like crunching numbers. And then Kel comes in. And Kel's like, you're not the guy from the woods. Chris is like, I'm actually the museum is closed, but you're more than welcome to enjoy the rest of the park. Kel's like, no, I'm not a guest, although this place is awesome. And Chris, like, thanks him, and asks if he's a fellow Santa enthusiast. Kel's like, that's a complicated question, but I'm looking for something Santa related if you could help. It's a vest. Red, obviously, and it says Santa in training. And then Bad Santa comes in. And he's wearing the training vest on. And Ogo's right beside him. He's like, you mean this vest? And Kel's like, you're the guy who snowballed my dad. And Goga's like, he's no guy. His name is Magnus Antus. Chris is like, feels like this is starting to get a little intense. And Massenda tells him to stay out of it. And tells Kelly that your dad is a human. Uncle like spits. Massenda's like the gall, and they have the nerve to call me the Mad Santa. Cal's like, I don't want to say mad, just more high strung. Mad Santa says, like, I suppose you think you're going to be the next Santa. Cal's like, maybe it's what his dad wants, and it's not a no from me. I have heard cries ship captains have really good benefits. You get to see the world without little elves trying to barbecue them. Olga says that she's no elf, that she's a gnome. Cal's like, cool. Cal's like, he loves a garden-scape. And yet says he can see all that angry posturing and touches her stick. Chris is like, gasps, saying, Cal's like, you have a soft spot, don't you? Olga's like, saying, like, no. Man said to laugh, saying, Olga is soft, that's rich. Olga gives her composure, says Cal to be quiet, human. Please let me end this. To Bad Santa. Man Santa says soon. Chris question is, you're not gonna let her hurt him because he's just a kid. And and he said this is getting out of hand. He tried a little 911. And you hear like the operator saying 911, what's your emergency? And Chris is like, yeah, that's a really good question. Matt Sender tells Olga to silence your friend. Chris is like, have you seen the movie Face Off yet? It's like that, but with Santas. And I guess the operator heard up because he's saying hello. And you see like Olga getting the duct tape out. So back at the North Pole, Betty admits what she and the others did was unimaginable. They went up against Santa, but it was her idea, no one else's. Saying she should have been banished beyond the Rubbly Woods forever ago. But but once Bernard got back, he wouldn't allow it. They covered it up, but she's ready to accept her punishment. And she hands the card to Santa. And Santa's like, yeah, Betty, there are rules. But he's like, it's more than a rule. It's a clause, unbreakable, non-negotiable, etched in stone. And Santa's like, etched in stone. And rips the card. Well, okay, that ends that, I guess.
Not right.
saying that she's a hero, and so is Noel. Mrs. Claus says that Betty showed so much bravery, and this place was indebted to her. Santa said that the North Pole will always be her home. Hey, Wade, how are you? You are awesome. Thank you so much, and congrats on reaching 1K. Yay! Hugs.
Awesome, and lots of hugs to you.
Definitely, it's like a huge milestone. I'm almost getting there myself, really. Almost like a almost one sub away from 990. So we're getting there. We're close. Yes, we're almost there. Almost there. Just taking your time with it, really. Oh, holy crud, you are so close. Soon you will be powerful. Well, maybe, yeah. You're only 9 away. Yep, only 9 subs away. I mean, hopefully by after New Year's we'll be at the 1K mark, but who knows? You're at 991? Whoa! Already? Holy... Wait a minute, I gotta see this.
Oh, splendid.
Are we really at 991? Holy cow, we are at 991.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! Holy shit.
Little happy dance. Little happy dance.
Yeah, subscribe to Raquel. Wow, 9 away from 1K.
Nice.
Sweet.
I'm all excited for you.
Maybe by I don't know, maybe Christmas or by New Year we'll be reaching 1K. Woohoo! Only 9 away. Awesome. But anyway, oh wait. Okay, when you hit 1K, you have to tell me how you did it so I can copy you and get there too.
Well, just watch your videos.
Just keep on grinding. Keep doing what you're doing. Really?
Yeah, just be your normal, charming self.
It's going to take a lot of time and dedication to it, but you'll get there.
We believe in you.
Mm-hmm.
As long as YouTube leaves him the fuck alone, poor guy. I remember one time he was talking and he happened to be cleaning like a weapon at that moment, and he was just like, doing all nice and casual, and just it cut right off. I'm like, God dang.
Mm-hmm.
Like, maybe it was an instructional video. Jeez. Like,
yeah. Yeah, YouTube can be unkind sometimes.
They're dicks.
Yeah. Same here. We just passed 100 and now shooting for 150 by next spring. Yay! I'm so happy for you. Yeah, they hated me that day. Oof. Yeah, gotta be careful. Anyway, Santa says to Betty that this place will always be your home. And that's when Sandra comes in. If I can get it. No, I can't get it. So Sandra comes in saying, Mom, Dad, Cal snuck out of the North Pole, the sleigh is gone, and so are Donna and Blitzen. And Santa's like in disbelief, saying, now he knows how to drive a sleigh? Santa, Mrs. Claus says, this is what happens when you push kids too far. Santa's like, I just want this to be a family business. Granted, but might have pushed Cal a little bit too far. So we go back to Chicago, Illinois. Let's see here. I can get it. That'll do. So we see Cal and Chris duct taped to the wall, which is interesting. Mad Santa says he's going to return to the North Pole and take his rightful spot as the one true king. I mean, Santa. Tell us, like, no matter what you do, you'll never win. And Cal says his dad may ruin his relationship with his girlfriend, but he's the reason I can fly a sleigh, wrap the gift in 30 seconds, and I know when people need help. And, Olga and Mad Santa are getting annoyed at this point. Cal's like, he's the really greatest dad and Santa that ever lived. Hey, you're not even wearing a red coat. You're a fraud. Whoa, I'm at 994 now? Holy crikey. Thank you so much, folks. Aw, thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And Mad Santa like turns around and says, it's always green, and then someone changed it behind my back.
That is awesome, by the way. Sorry, I was away from the...
Yeah, thank you so much, Wade.
Yeah, you're awesome, Wade. Lots of hugs.
You might be 1K by end of the stream. Maybe. Who knows? Early Christmas for me. Oh, thank you. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. And Chris is like, he didn't mean fraud. He meant flawed. I was trying to rhyme. And he like chuckles and does a sad nod and saying that he has a big boy and this is going to be a toughie. So Mad Santa powers up and throws a magical snowball at Cal. And Cal gets turned into a nutcracker. There you go. So, yeah, he gets turned to a nutcracker. Oh, no. But, since Cal and the vest are connected, he turned Cal into a nutcracker. We quickly see the vest fall off of Mad Santa. Since the vest and Cal are connected, once he turned Cal to nutcracker, the powers of the vest went bye-bye and fall off the Mad Santa. Olga asks Mad Santa if he's all right. Mad Santa says he's drained. He needs more Santa magic than he expected, and says we need to get to the North Pole to get his amulet. And says to help me to get the sleigh. So how did they get to the sleigh? I wonder. Back to the North Pole in the control room. Hugo says it's done. All vortexes are shut down. Gary tells Hugo that he did good. Santa comes in saying, don't shut down the vortexes. Santa comes in saying that Cal's still outside the North Pole. Gary says, I've told you not to do it. Sanders just says to turn him back on.
Sorry.
Says that he can't turn them back on. It'll take hours. And plus, if it's done wrong, the North Pole can and will melt. That doesn't sound good at all. So Santa says there's that. Mrs. Claus says we don't have hours because Cal flew directly to Mad Santa. How do we get him back? And Santa's like, I have the worst idea ever. Have Noel meet me in the letter department. Moira and her purrs, LOL. Moira's purrs are like Eartha Kitt's Catwoman's from the 1966-69 TV OG.
Oh, I'll have to add a little
series.
voice. Yeah, I'll have to add some more voice into it, like. Yeah. So hers was like.
I can't really roll with my R's.
Apparently, rolling my R's is something I've always been able to do. I've purred and meowed since I was like 5 years old. So.
I can't. LOL, I thought I was on this one, LOL. Tim Allen can still fit the suit, LOL. Of course.
He's really, can.
It's really healthy. That's another channel. Another channel?
No, I think he's
agreed on the purred, LOL. I tweeted your channel. Oh, thank you so much, Wade.
Sure.
So where are we on now? 995. Holy cats. Thank you so much, guys.
Where is it at?
995.
Dang. That is so wild.
LOL. This is my main channel. Oh, thank you so much, Wade.
I'm bushy-tailed for you.
Thank you so much.
Oh, it's so lovely. I send out a group hug.
995. So we're like 5 subs away from 1K. Woohoo! So we go to the letter department. Santa is explaining sometimes kids will send stuff to the North Pole they shouldn't have sent. I'm wondering what they're sending. Pies? Cookies?
Humorous, threatening letters that I've seen on the internet where kids are like, Santa, I'm giving you one more chance to bring me that PS5 I want, or else there's going to be trouble. Like, that shit's funny as hell.
Like, you know, like a special toy or a gift, or maybe an entire lemon meringue pie, which I didn't send back.
Well, yeah, obviously.
So he ate the pie, huh?
But yeah, I would.
And Mrs. Claus, like, you know, you're getting off topic. Santa's like, this entire pathway is always open, so he's gonna send himself through this. Okay. And Noel's like, the return system is risky. Santa knows about it. Noel says, we never said anything living thing through it before. And Santa's like, only because you wouldn't send Gary. And Gary's like, what now? And Noel's like, I can't let you do it, sir. Oh, thank you so much, Insanity. Welcome. Thank you so much. You guys are so awesome. Thank you so much, guys. This wouldn't be possible without you.
Y'all are some good cats.
Indeed. Senda says no. No, like, points out that some letters disappear forever. Huh. I wonder why. Santa says Cal is only over there because I wrote him too hard. I'm gonna save my boy. He's gonna save his son, no matter what. Mrs. Claus says she's coming with him, and Santa's like, you know, honey, and she gives him that look. Sandra says, me too. Santa's like, no, I need someone here to protect the North Pole. You and La Befana, that's what you gotta do. And Sandra's like, you trust us with that? And Mrs. Claus says, with our lives. Sandra says, let's go. Sandra and Mrs. Claus give a hug. So they're about to, like, take off and do this. I love this part, though. Mrs. Claus says to Sandra, sweetheart, you got this. Sandra says, be strong. Okay, let's do this. Let's go. Noel brings out, like, a golden stamp. Still think this is not a good idea, but whenever you're ready, just stamp the letter return to sender. And Sandra's like, all right, honey. And he's like, whoa, what is this?
It's a Santa blaster?
It's a Santa blaster. She
okay,
said
I was
there's a Santa
blaster.
That's what I thought too, but she said Santa blaster.
He's like, why do we have something called that here? As there's an experience of being there, not showed him why sometimes that is necessary.
Yeah, she picked it up when she heard the man Santa was on the loose. And you're right, Santa said she felt uncomfortable knowing that they had a weapon that the North Pole called Santa Blaster. Which Mrs. Claus noted and said she cherished every minute with him. They kissed and the holding on. So, he says, see you on the south side, Mrs. Claus. He stamps the letter. Nothing. And then we see a bolt of rainbow electricity going down. They disappear. However, somehow the Santa blaster and this golden stamp return to center gets left behind. I'm like, oh no, how are they going to get back to the North Pole now? Whoops. So that is episode 5. Betty, Betty. I don't know why. I know I am super sexy, amazing, powerful. No thanks needed. Fair enough. Thank you. Fair enough.
I mean, he is good looking, but dang. Not supposed to say it out loud like that.
But you lost one. I'll see what happened, but I tweeted it out a bunch. No worries. You'll come back eventually. You'll get there. I've done my part. Thank you so much, Wade, to help. Congrats. You'll get there soon. Yeah, I'll eventually get there soon. Thank you so much, Wade. I hope you have a Merry Christmas. I'm also very modest. Yep. Alrighty. Next episode, which is our last episode.
Do what?
The last episode.
Oh, right. Sorry, I was distracted for a second.
No worries. All right. Episode 6. Wonga Bonga Longa.
Oh, yeah.
Celebrate your 1K, Raquel and Moira was special holiday stream this weekend. Maybe.
Depends on how I feel after surgery.
Yeah, Moira has surgery tomorrow. We'll just have to see. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe this weekend or maybe next week. I don't know. It depends. How quickly we get there, I guess. I added the stream to our parlay playlist too. Okay, thank you so much, Mikey. Okay, y'all, I gotta run. Have a great night. Okay, thank you for coming. Sandy, welcome. What surgery? Oh, Moira is getting a hernia surgery tomorrow.
Yeah, it's an umbilical hernia, so it's right at my belly button, which is the incision area. They went in with this laparoscopy, which is like this robot that does surgery, and I think the doctor screwed up and damaged that area. So I had a hernia because he damaged the wall of that area. And I've already tried to call a lawyer, and I've tried 12, and they just won't take it. So, but yeah, so a different doctor, because I refuse to have the guy who fucked up work on me again, because no.
Right. Yeah, right?
You had a hernia in 6th grade? What the fuck? What the shit? What'd you do? Try to fix the car? God damn.
Try to be Superboy?
Right? Shit.
Damn. I need to take a couple of days off videos wise, but I'll come back rolling. But if you need to talk, I can squeeze people in. Oh, thank you so much, Wade. I'll let you know, but you enjoy the rest of your week and, getting you ready for Christmas and enjoy the holidays. Thank you so much, Wade. I appreciate you. And he sends me a green smiley face.
What it seems.
I don't know why StreamYard won't show me that, but oh well.
Okay, Insanity worked on a farm. I guess that would do it. But god dang.
He worked on a farm. Did lifting and working. Ouch. Yeesh. Okay. Well, I'm glad you're okay. Sandy, welcome. Prayers up for Moira tomorrow. My wife Suzanne had her hernia surgery back in October and was successful. The same female back that messed up in 2020 fixed her up in 2023. Have a great surgery, Moira.
Lots of hugs to you and thank you. And
thank you.
Side note, your wife's name is Susanna Susan?
He said Suzanne.
That's why I'm looking at it like that. Like, huh.
I was raised as a hardworking man. LOL. Indeed.
That throws an earthy kit. Well, yeah, Suzanne. But like, her name is Mikey Susan, so if it's your wife, I'll assume it's Susan Sousa. And so that kind of messes with me.
All right. So episode 6. At the North Pole. Eddie says, "What's the status?" Hugo says he's tracking something. It's the sleigh. Noah's like, "Hugo, I need to know if Santa and the missus are safe. Why is the North Pole not back online?" And Hugo's getting frustrated, saying he's trying his best. And Gary's like, your best ain't cutting it, kid. Hugo's like, let's see if I can get the scene here. We'll just have to do. No, come on. There you go. There it is. Moira, your social will be amazing. You better wake up and you'll wake up better and more powerful than ever before.
Boy, I hope so.
Anyway, night all.
Lots of hugs.
Merry Christmas. She'll feel a lot better physically and mentally. Sanity, definitely.
Well, probably at least in a week or so, because it takes a while to recover from being cut open.
Yeah, it is. Whenever, it take you a few weeks for your gallbladder surgery.
Oh yeah, the gallbladder thing was fucking terrible. My God, that was.
I'm hoping they give you the same medication for the pain.
I don't remember them giving me. I don't remember what medication they gave me. I didn't really use it because, like, Loratab, I can't have.
I remember you taking something because you could, you were really in pain.
It might have been like ibuprofen because, like, I can't take Loratabs because they make me sick, and so it could have been Percocet, maybe, but the Percocet works about the same as ibuprofen does for me. So I usually just take ibuprofen, honestly. Because, I mean, it's an all or none situation. I either take ibuprofen if the pain's really bad. I would prefer they give me a synthetic morphine. That's really the two things I know work on me. And they generally will not give you something like synthetic morphine for outpatient surgery, like going home. Which is really stingy of them. But
it is. So one major tip after surgery, Warrior, please don't lift anything heavy for at least a month.
Oh, I will. I generally don't really lift a lot of heavy stuff. I'm always worried it'll hurt my back or something. So I generally don't. The only reason I got this silly hernia anyway is the doctor screwed up when he little robot thing went into my belly button area to go up to my gallbladder, and it I guess it tore something. That's the only reason I have the hernia, isn't from lifting it ridiculously heavy stuff or anything. Although it feels weird when I cough. Like it feels like a thumb is poking me in the hand when I put my hand over to cough. It's fucking weird. Ugh. Gives me the heebie-jeebies, I say.
Yeah, heebie-jeebies. So anyway, Hugo said, is frustrated, flustered, like saying, listen, I've never been in this scenario like this, not even during my exams in the Muffin Institute of Technology. What, your Institute of Technology
I
is
love
called
it.
Muffin?
It's MIT, which is a Massachusetts Institute of Technology here in America. They got the Muffin Institute, like MIT. Like, that is
Muffin.
hilarious.
Muffin.
That is so cute.
And Eddie's like, thanks goodness, I was worried we might go another 30 seconds without Hugo mentioning he went to MIT. Oh, being sarcastic here. Noel says, guys, I don't want to don't get the stress get to you. And let's look at the picture cutout of Betty. And he's like asking, what should I do here? The real Buddy comes in saying, why are you asking her? And like Noel's like, oh yeah, I forgot you're back. And Buddy's like, I don't want you to talk to her anymore. She's jealous of a cut up picture of herself. Come on. And Noel's like, sorry, honey buns, she means nothing to me. And he puts down, and Noel puts down the mic, says to the head pitcher, sorry, paper honey buns. And
yeah, that's so weird.
Yeah,
like, Betty, like he's cheating on his wife with the freaking cutout. It's so weird.
Yeah, and the real Buddy just grabs the cut up picture of herself and just puts it on the table. And she says, technically I'm still on Cribble Crabble, which means you're still officially the head elf. You have to decide what to do. And he's like afraid he'll like biff it. Which she always do. But he's like, no, I left you with a possible situation. Which she kind of did. Eddie says the vortexes are back online and says Hugo did it. And Hugo's like, why can't I see Santa right now? Eddie says, we're going to have a conversation later how you communicate when you're stressed. He's like, screams, why can't I see Santa right now? And Eddie's like, we're going to have a conversation on how you communicate when you're stressed. So Eddie presses the button. And Noah, like, in the mic says, best friend. And you hear Mad Santa and Olga laughing. And you, so we see, we can get here. See if I can get it here. Kind of tough. Here we go. And Betty's like, there are no friends of ours. And Mad Santa and Olga are laughing. That they're on the way to the North Pole. And yeah, Santa's like, no, to Olga, no, for a menacing laugh, you have to be down lower. So he's telling Olga how to do a deep laugh. He's like, yes, keep working on it. And Gary's like, yeah, who's watching the security sphere, saying, you have to admit the laugh does sound better. And Eddie's like, they're headed straight for us. Shut the vortexes. And Noel's like, no, let them come. They want another fight. They got one. So the elves are going to do battle with Mad Santa and Olga here pretty soon. So to Chicago, Illinois, Mrs. Claus and Santa arrived, asking if they were all right. They're all right. And Mrs. Claus notices the Santa blaster didn't make it. So they go into the Santa Polis store. And Mrs. Claus asks Santa, "Are your Santa senses telling you where Cal Madness Antis might be?" Santa says, "Yeah, I'm in here, but something doesn't feel right." And Santa tells her to keep her eye out, that he's close. Mrs. Claus wondering why or what was Cal thinking coming here. And Santa says he did this to impress me. This is on me. And she sees Chris and Nutcracker Cal on the wall. She's like, Mrs. Claus no, 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 no. Oh my God. Scott, is he dead? So Mad Santa turned Cal into a nutcracker. And Mrs. Claus is not happy. Saying that the last person they turned to a nutcracker was stuck in there for 700 years, and tells Santa to get him out of there. And Santa's I'll get him out. All right, stand back. Here you go. And touches his nose twice. Nothing happens. He rips his hands together. Does it one more time. Nothing happens. And Mrs. Claus screaming at Santa Scott to fix this now. And he says you know what? Just get him down gently. We'll take him to La Befana. So Mrs. Claus takes Cal down. And Santa says that La Befana can figure this out. And it's going to be fine. No, I like this little scene here. I said it's who's this guy? And asks, "Hey, are you okay?" Chris wakes up, and we see a little flashback memory when he's a kid. Let's see if I can get it here. Seeing Santa Scott during a first round as Santa in the first movie, which is, I think it was very clever of them to do. And Chris is like, Santa? Santa's like, Chris? And Chris is like, those eyes. I never forget the moment those baby blue eyes made baby brown eyes. And Santa's like, listen, the guy that put you in here, do you remember anything about where they were going? And Chris is ecstatic, saying, Mrs. Claus, you were my first crush. And Santa's like, do you want to keep him taped up? She says, Mrs. Claus says, no, our kids and the North Pole are in danger, and we need to get back there as soon as possible. And Chris is like, really? Because truth be told, I have my doubts about the other Santa, and it's really cruel. No, they've been plotting and doing all kinds of bad stuff. Well, duh. And Mrs. Claus is like, what bad stuff? Chris is like, thanks for asking. For example, be ordering a lot of movies on demand, and all I have this and all the streaming services. And ask Santa if he can be reimbursed for that, and said he'll figure it out later. Mrs. Claus thinks the magnet Antis excuse me, is on his way to the North Pole to end Scott's reign and reset himself as the one true Santa. Chris apologizes that he had as bad Santa had him believe he was the real Santa, and asks if he looks gullible because a toddler told him that. Like, ouch. Santa said he's gonna listen. He needs to think this through. It says, you know what? I'm sure Matt Santa took my sleigh. Mrs. Claus asks, "How do you know that?" Because this is exactly what he would do. Santa. Chris like, well, if a sleigh is the only problem, I got you covered. So they go outside, and there's a little sleigh here. Chris is like, oh, all right, here it is, you guys. Just make sure you have a lot of, you'll hear a lot of noises when you get inside because there's squirrels that live in it, and they attack when they're surprised. And it, like, screams squirrel and scares Santa and Mrs. Claus a little bit. Santa's like, what about the reindeer? We need something to pull it. And Chris is like, you got some reindeer too. So apparently he has reindeer somewhere. Let's see if I can get this correct. Well, that's the best I can do. Back at the North Pole, Noel's like telling the elves, let's go. I need eyes on Santa, then Mrs. Pronto. Hugo says, you know, when you gave your speech, they want more, let's give it to them. It was really inspiring and it gave me goosebumps. But Eddie says there's a but. Hugo he wanted to be back here when it happened, but he's more of a number elf. And Noel says he's right. He's not safe here for him or anyone else. Oh, hold on a minute. My kitty's meowing. All right, back. We hope you both have a great rest of this holiday season. Take care, gals, and Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, Mikey. Hugs. And Noel turns to Betty and says, I want you to take the elves to a safe place away from here. Betty says Eddie can do that. She wants to stay here with Noel. Noel says that she got the biggest target on her back and tells her to trust him, that he got this. And Betty's about to say something, and Noel's like, you don't need to say it. I know you love me. Betty's like, I do. But I was gonna say I really wish I didn't have to go with Gary. And we see Gary sipping his syrup bottle, which is strange and obviously a sweet taste, I guess. So back to Chicago, Illinois. Chris is asking Santa, how are you gonna make it fly? And Santa says a little Santa magic. He touches his left side of his nose and touches the plastic reindeer, and we see the plastic reindeer come to life. And Mrs. Claus is like, hey, look at that. Good job, sweetie. Hope you have enough for the trip. And Chris is wondering if he can go, and Mrs. Claus and Santa are hesitant with that. Because no strangers can really go to the North Pole. Mrs. Claus says there's a really good chance this might not work. Santa agrees, saying even if they get over the Arctic Ocean, I don't know if they have enough power to beat Mad Santa. Which is true. Chris is all sad, saying he devoted his whole life to Christmas and Santa, and it wasn't all not for this moment. Mrs. Claus smiles, and Santa says, "Let's do it." Santa said, "Let's get some snacks." He doesn't like stopping. Chris is all excited. Said, "Let's go." So they're getting ready to set off to the North Pole. So at the North Pole, Betty's telling the rest of the elves there's a secret passage ahead that leads to an old ice cave, which take them to safety. I think the elf's name is what's the name of the elf? I think the elf's name is Tootin or something like that. No, not Tootin. Tootson. Something Toots. Not Toots. It's Tootin. What's the elf's name? Hold on a sec. And, I think her name is Tootin, I think. I don't know if that's really it, though. Yeah, Toots. That's what I thought it was. Yeah. Toots says Olga is going to sniff us out whenever we go, because I guess gnomes have a sense of smell. Betty agrees, saying no one's safe if they're around her. Eddie asks her where she's going. Noel said we need to stick together. Betty says she needs to finish something she started 712 years ago. Tells Betty, Eddie she's in charge until she's back. Eddie puts a green cowboy hat on, saying to the elves there's a new sheriff in town. And Gary's like, has she had that with her the whole time? Most likely, but it's magic. So Santa and Mrs. Claus are currently going back to the North Pole. Mrs. Claus says we shouldn't left Santa alone. Santa doesn't want to think about that right now. Chris is like ecstatic, like, saying, "Are those icebergs down there? This is the greatest one of his life." And Santa and Mrs. Claus both look at him, and he's like, "I'm worried about Santa too. We gotta get Cal back to a situation where he's not made of wood." And then a little bug gets caught in his throat and coughs, and then he thinks he swallowed a bug. Back to the North Pole, Noel is getting ready for battle. Olga and the Mad Santa arrive at the North Pole. So they're back home. And Santa can feel himself getting stronger already. Olga is like, okay, let's summon the gnomes. She blows the horn, saying, here's the plan. When the gnomes arrive, they're going to be rusty, but after weeks of fierce training, Mad Santa said that none of that matters. Once he gets his amulet back, he'll be indestructible. And he said he left a little present for her in the sleigh for your friend Betty. And we see Olga pick up an axe. And she says, elves. So they're getting ready to do battle here. Let's see if I can get this. Okay. So at La Bafana's house, Bafana is reading a book trying to turn Easter Bunny back to his normal self, and but he's currently a lemon right now, actual lemon. Santa and Mrs. Claus come in. Bafana freezes him. Santa's like, it's my family. It's not Mad Santa. And Bafana's like, whoop, oopsie, and just snaps her fingers and freezes him. Mrs. Claus says, like, sweetheart. What is it, sweetie? Oh, hold on. My kitty's being annoying. Hold on a minute. All right, back. So, sorry, my kitty was being a little bit annoying. So, Mrs. Claus says, sweetheart, to Sandra. Sandra's like, wait, to La Bafana, wait, I'm sorry, freeze use, say, freeze when you're doing a freeze spell. Bafana says, and nobody goes, become this being's blood and soul, rest your flesh like a stillborn foal. But I like to do a little bit of a shortcut for my favorites. Fair enough. Mrs. Claus says she would love to hear that more but later, but right now Mad Santa is back, and we have other problems in the North Pole. He turned Cal into a nutcracker, and Sandra's like, oh, buddy, oh my. Mrs. Claus is like, that's Cal. Santa's like, our son's a nutcracker. Can you turn him back? And Bafana is like, untransformation spells. are very difficult and dangerous. And she points to the lemon Easter bunny. And Sandra's like, what? Sandra says, don't ask. Bafana says she doesn't have the ability to undo the spell. Chris, for some reason, laughs and apologizes, saying, I know this isn't the right time. I can't believe I'm standing in front of La Bafana. Said he had learned Italian to read all about her.
And she's kind of a dick on this one.
Yeah, she was laughing with him.
And then kind of like...
And then it goes near to kind of Scott saying, what is this jerk doing in my house?
Yeah, what a jerk thing to say. Like, she bitched before about not being as popular, and then this dude's all happy to see her, and she acts like, never mind.
Well, she is a witch. Let's not forget.
Yeah, she's a witch, not a bitch.
I know.
Anyway.
Which, hey, that rhymes.
I know.
And Mrs. Claus like, okay, focus. Is Kella going to be a nutcracker forever? Bafana didn't say that. Does it have the skills to transform back into a boy? But there is a more powerful witch who can. And Santa's like, frustrated again, already speaking in riddles. And Bafana's like pointing to Sandra. And Sandra's like, no, I can't. I'm sorry, no. Really? You won't even try to turn your brother back into his normal self?
Well, she doesn't want to, accidentally do something else to him.
Right. But still, you gotta try, right? Bafana says the under-transformation spell requires more magic, and see the plant behind Sandra moving towards her than I have. But Sandra has an ability I've never seen before. She can harness the magic around her. And the plant goes into Sandra's hands. Sandra's wondering, okay, where do I get this magic from? Bafana says, Magnus Antis Amulet. Sandra says, what? Bafana says, okay, you know how I have my big stick and you have your coat, but man, Santa was very secretive. I don't know what his amulet was. He couldn't have it when he had turned him into a nutcracker, which means it must still be at the North Pole. If you could get it, you could able to reverse the spell on Cal. And Santa says, unless the Mad Santa finds it first. Bafana says that's what she was implying, obviously. Mrs. Claus says, okay, time to go. What are we waiting for? Let's go. We gotta move. So the gnomes come out of hiding. Then we see Mad Santa at the toy factory. 700 years, and this is what they done. What the devil is this? Everyone knows the earth is flat. And he's like, looking at the globe, which says like, naughty or nice. So in the reindeer room, Santa says, guys, I can feel him. I can feel close. He can feel the Mad Santa nearby. Saying like, hey, I need to get dressed into this full Santa gear, ready for battle. He tells Mrs. Claus, Sandra and Chris to you gotta find the amulet, and tells Chris to stay out of the way. So they take off. Chris is like, can't believe that he's at the North Pole, and he's really giddy about it. Too far. Okay. So, Olga and Betty are meet each other again after a very long time, and they're facing off.
The biggest fucking disappointment. This is 700 years in the waiting.
700 years, 712 years in the waiting.
And the biggest fucking disappointment, and no blood, no decapitation, no explosions.
Well, this is a wholesome family TV show. You can't have that during Christmas.
Yes, you can. Some of the best Christmas movies have that shit.
Well,
maybe
not
this decapitation, but definitely blood.
No, not this one. This is family friendly.
It's bullshit. Come on. They've been waiting 712 years. Fuck around and be dumb and not dumb. They talk shit for 8 episodes, 7 episodes, whatever. They talk shit for that long just to do nothing.
Anywho, Olga says Bettyina, and waves her axe around. Betty says Olga Clictus or something like that, and she's like a really neat toy sword. And Olga was like, chuckles, a toy sword. This is gonna be easy. And Betty says, "Let's go," and they like clash with axe and sword. Hopefully the toy sword will do well against the real axe, but
yeah, that's a load of shit.
We'll see. So let's see here. I can get one. Let's see if I can get it. Here we go. So Santa has Nutcracker Cal with him, and the Santa and Mad Santa finally meet each other. And they both say, well. Santa tells, "Welcome to the North Pole, Magnus Anctus. Got quite a history." And Mad Santa's like, "Yes, and you have none. Scott, whatever your name is, I see you brought your little wooden boy with you. How sweet. All due respect, you're at my desk." And they're like trying to butting heads with each other, trying to outdo themselves with each other. Maston's like, "No, this is my desk." Santa's like, it says Santa, not weird ancient creep. And turns the nameplate around, says to Ned Santa, that says Santa. And Maston's like, "Well, joke's on you because I used my Santa magic, which I have because I am the one true Santa." And he adjusts the nameplate with his magic. So you have just affirmed that in fact it is my desk. And he turns the nameplate around. That's
a picture of that.
Which I think it says Magnus Anctus on.
No, it says weird ancient creep.
Ancient creep, dude. Yeah, you're right.
I was like, really, dude? You solidified your own burn. What the fuck?
Yeah. See here. Oh, here it goes. So Olga and Betty are fighting, and Olga's like, that's a cool toy, like the toy sword. Give it to me now.
Which makes her sound like a child.
Give me a toy.
Yeah.
Like, y'all can do better than this.
And Olga's hitting the axe on the unstable ice, which is cracking. I'm like, that's not good. But he's like, "No, it's mine. Make your own. If you want to play with one, it's mine. Make your own if you want to play with one." And it's like tries to take a swing at her, unsuccessfully. Like dang. So the Santas are still facing off with each other somewhat, and Mad Santa's like questioning what are you looking for? And Santa's like, putting things the way they're supposed to be. Mad Santa's like, no, I want this over here and this over here. I like the way I have it. The way you have everything stinks. Santa says we had to make a lot of changes. More people than when you were Santa. And Santa has a question. Where's my torture chamber? Like, that doesn't sound really Merry Christmas at all. Santa says, maybe you want to answer the question about the rumors that you have bad hygiene that contributed to the big plague. Like, interesting. Manson just like, yes, it's my fault that millions of kids asked for rats with frothy mouths that year. Like, why? Santa said a lot of people like the changes I made here at the North Pole. We got a lot more natural light up here. We got an open floor plan. That's everybody's collaborating. Hey, Ronan, how are you? Hey, Raquel, just stopping by and leaving a post for algorithm, but off to bed for me. Y'all have a good stream. Thank you for coming, Ronan. You have a good rest of your night, and hopefully I see you soon. But if not, Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Hugs.
Indeed. Lots of
Bad Santa says open floor plan seems nice, but they're stifling for introverts. Kind of. I would say more so if they're crowded, really. And they somehow touch bellies with each other, which is kind of awkward, but somewhat funny. Santa says that's a nice belly, but not a Santa belly. And says, this is a Santa belly. Putting his own stomach. Like, okay. Good to know. So, again, we go back to Betty and Olga. They're still fighting. Olga's like, gnomes can't make toys. Olga, gnomes can't make toys. I want it. And Betty's like, you want it? Take it. And she kicks her away and kicks her axe to the side. Olga says, one day I'll have something you want to play with, and I never give it to you. And grabs Betty's arms and takes her sword. Betty's like, hey, that's not fair. And pins Olga to the ground. So we have like a gnome and an elf fighting and trying to not only fighting for themselves, but fighting for one sorted toy here. So with Mrs. Claus and Sandra, they're trying to find the Mad Santa's amulet. And Mrs. Claus asks Sandra if she sensed any magic yet. Sandra says it's the North Pole. There's magic everywhere. Try the tap. And Mrs. Claus says, try to tap into what Lapana told you about Mad Santa. What would his magic amulet feel like? Sandra says she can feel something but can't describe it. It almost feels like the magic that turned Cal into a nutcracker. And Mrs. Claus asks where it's coming from. Sandra says that way. So back to the two Santas still going off with each other, so butting heads. As Santa says to Santa, your beard looks like a flavorless cotton candy. Santa says it was not a good insult. Mad Santa says, no, it's a very good insult, and I wish you would have said that. It's very clever. Are you going to carry your son around forever? He says, I don't think so. He takes wooden cow. Santa wants him back. And tells Mad Santa to give him back. Santa says, no, I don't think I will. Why, don't you try to take him back? And Santa touches his left side of his nose to get Cal back. Nothing happens. and he's trying to reach for Cal. Magically, nothing happens. And Madison is like, how sad. Your human Santa matches getting weaker as mine gets stronger. Santa's like, give back my son. Bad Santa says, I will not. Again, Santa says, give back my son. And he's like wrestling when Cal from Santa's grip. And the point I thought he was going to break him or something like that. And Madison is like, no, he hurt my finger. Ow, it's in my mouth. And Santa says, look at that, a tree bucket or something, a tree bucket.
That word is trebuchet.
Trebuchet?
And basically it's like a catapult.
Ah, trebuchet.
If you've ever heard of stuff they used to do in medieval times, which was actually one of the first biological warfares, they would take diseased dead bodies, plague victims, and catapult their bodies over the wall of the castle or village they were trying to take. So all they had to do was wait until the disease took everyone. And basically a similar device is the trebuchet.
And
I've been oddly waiting to say that to someone. All right, go ahead.
I can tell. Trebuchet says Santa, look at that, trebuchet. Matt Santa said that trebuchet. I did not. And Santa finally gets Wood and Cal back, and Matt Santa's like, you scoundrel.
Yeah, because he was all excited about that.
And the fact he checked him.
Right.
So back to Betty and Olga, they're still fighting. Olga's like saying to Betty, you're not being nice, while hammering the sword down the ice, which is still cracking, by the way. So it finally cracks, and they fall down to the reindeer room below, and we see the rest of the gnomes heading towards the two Santas. Yeah, so they fall down to the reindeer room, but he's unconscious. Olga, is unconscious as well, but she gets up. Here comes the gnomes. Madison is like, you hear that? My gnomes approach, and they will lay waste everything you find precious.
Dun, dun, dun.
Da, da, da.
And then the most... sorry, I'm sorry, Bob. Oh, shit. I forgot she was there. I got my
oh, no.
Yeah.
Is Bob okay?
Oh, no. She almost got my foot. She's like...
Ooh.
Sorry.
So, the gnome here called Grog says, we're here to support you. And Madison is like saying, I waited 700 years for this attack.
And he's like, oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't clear. We're supporting you. Sorry, I wasn't clear about that earlier.
Yeah, Grog says, like, not you. Apologies for not being more clear the first time. And Madison is like, what? And the gnomes separate a little, and Noel appears. If I can get the scene here.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. Noel appears. So we looked into the past a little bit here. And Noel is reading the rest of the gnomes that are underground here, saying, you're all part of the ancient and noble clan gnome. I came here today to your home on this storied apex of the globe to ask for your forgiveness, to work towards something bigger than ourselves, because Christmas is an idea, not just a day. Agreed.
Which is weird. I mean, how far back in time did they go? Because I thought they didn't like gnomes, and apparently
a little bit like when we saw Noel getting ready to do battle. I think that's when he went down underneath to head off with the rest of the gnomes.
Huh.
So there's a little bit back in the past, just a little bit. Grog said, "Can it be both?" And Noel's like, Grog, I'm building something. And Grog apologizes. A week is too long to carry a grudge. Yet we have done so for centuries. If we can't let go of the past, what hope do we have for our future? Let us lay down our arms, not for me, but for yourselves and the spirit of good that you represent. And Grog and all the gnomes say to Noel. So the gnomes are with Noel. Back to the present. Santa says to Noel, "I knew you were head elf material." Messenger says, "Well, this is turning out the way this isn't turning out the way I anticipated." And it picks up a mug. So now is a great time to test a few things out. And Santa says, "What does that mean?" We quickly go to let's see if I can get it here. To Mrs. Claus and Sandra. Sandra says, "I followed an old trail. It was here just until a few moments ago." And Mrs. Claus like, "Oh, look at this. I told your father to use a coaster." Yeah. Use a coaster if you're having a beverage so they won't stain the wood on the desk drawer. Sandra's like, "Seriously?" And Mrs. Claus just realizes that's then what I know what the amulet is. So she realizes what the amulet is. Here. Let's see if I can get it here. So here's the strange thing here. So Chris is human, right? He comes in saying, "Is it the amulet? I'm feeling an amulet vibe in the room, but I can't quite see it." Like, wait a minute. How, like, he doesn't have any Santa powers. How can he feel the magic vibe of the amulet? Moira?
Sorry, what?
Okay, Chris comes in. He says, "Is it the amulet? I can feel an amulet vibe in the room, but I can't quite see it." Like, he's human. He doesn't have any
I don't know what that's about.
He doesn't have Santa power. So how can he feel the magical vibe of the amulet?
I don't know. That's well, I don't know. He's got a lot of Christmas in his heart. Maybe that helps. I don't know.
You mean childhood memories and stuff like that? Maybe that's why. Maybe that could be the reason why he could feel the magic of the amulet
so much. He like lives for Christmas, so maybe
right.
that helps somehow. I don't know, because honestly, I didn't catch that before, so that's the only explanation I have to bullshit at this moment.
I think because he has so much Christmas memory.
I think it's a precursor.
A precursor?
Yeah, I think they're hinting at a third season possibility and him taking the job as Santa.
Possibly. Maybe like a little bit foreshadowing here.
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah, maybe. You may be right on that. And we see Santa like holding a silver mug, and Santa's like, "Wait a minute, is that mug your all-powerful doodad? I've been drinking out of that for years." And we look into the past a little bit here, seeing Santa drinking out of the mug. when he's visiting the North Pole for the first time with Charlie. Mrs. Claus drinking out of the mug and stirring cocoa with a candy cane. Stuff like that. Matt Santa dings turkey leg against the mug. Mrs. Claus is having the mug with her red PJs. So back to the present here. Let's see if I can get it. Oh, here it is. Madison says, shall I take a sip? She does, and says, Wanga, banga, longa. As you see here, his eyes glows and throws Santa across the room. Santa Scott across the room. So the amulet, which is a silver mug, is very that powerful. So back in the reindeer room, Betty and Olga are knocked out. Olga gets up. Then Santa gets up. Bad Santa laughs. And Santa picks up Nutcracker Cal. Bad Santa's like, yes, I forgot how incredible this amulet is. My mind is sharper. My muscles are bigger. I wish you could see them, but the layers are too many.
Sure, buddy, sure.
Sure. Okay. All right. Mrs. Claus and Senator make sure that Santa Scott is okay. Mrs. Claus, are you okay? He has the amulet. She realizes it's too late. Yeah. Santa says, I know, we are here, we're just talking about it. Bafana comes in saying there's been a shift in magic. Santa has been reunited with his amulet. And Mrs. Claus points to it, and she's like, Bafana's like, oh, hello. A very awkward hello. Right? Oh, we're too late. Oh, snickerdoodles. So in the toy factory, we see Olga looking around and looking at amazement at all the toys that have been made, and Betty is closely behind her, saying, "Hey, get away from that! What are you doing?" Olga's like, "So this is where the elves make toys?" Betty says, "Yeah. If you want to know, if you want a toy served so bad, you can make it one here." Olga's like, "Stop taunting me." Betty asks if you ever tried to make a toy. Olga says, "Of course, every gnome for centuries has, but each time we do, instead of building something just for fun, we end up making something useful." There's nothing bad making useful stuff. And she quickly links some kind of I think it's a printer toner cartridge. And she's like, "See?" And Betty's like, "What's a printer toner cartridge?" And the girl doesn't know. So they're not really familiar with useful technology, I guess. Only toys. So back to the two Santas. Santa said, this isn't over yet. Mad Santa says, you don't understand that you're the lesser Santa. Santa says that that's impossible. Mad Santa says Santa's supposed to know what every kid wants, right? Agreed. Santa nods too. And Mad Santa says, what about your son? What about Cal? What does he want? You wanted him to be the next Santa. Is that what he wanted, or is it what you wanted? Seems to be a loss for words. You are for a loss for words. So let me answer the question for you. Cal wanted to be a kid. He wanted to spend more time with his girlfriend. Any worthwhile Santa would know that. Yes, Scott Calvin, you're not only failed humanity as Santa, but you failed your son. That's why I'm back. Because I don't make silly human mistakes. No, I'm the one true Santa. Yeah, he hit hard in the feels right there.
See, right there should have been a fist fight.
Mm-hmm.
I'm disappointed by
But Santa's like reflecting on what Matt Santa said, really. But yeah, I was kind of expecting this Matt Santa trying to go make a lunge for him right at this point, but that didn't happen. Santa says, "La Befana, you said Santa needed more magic to bring Cal back." Which Befana agreed. Santa said, "What if we could tap into a little bit of Christmas spirit in all of us and combine that with hers?" Matt Santa said, "No witch can do that." Santa says, "A human witch." Befana says, "Born at the North Pole." Miss Claus says could do it. And they all look at Sandra. And Matt Santa's like, "What's going on? Why? And why? Why do you care?" Santa says, "What you may not know about humans, although we're not perfect, we do care about each other. And more than that, we love our neighbors. Something the king wanted us to celebrate at Christmas." Which king?
Well, probably the obvious one. The reason for the season, baby.
Oh, okay. I wasn't really sure what they meant by that. Okay.
Well, they probably didn't want to be super obvious, but I mean.
Right. I thought they meant one of the kings in the UK, but I guess I was wrong.
Oh my God. Yes, because King Charles has always wanted that for us with his pedo brother. Yeah, that's God Almighty, girl. Oh my Lord! King Charles declares it so.
Mrs. Claus, Santa, and La Befana all have faith in Sandra here. Man, Santa's like, "Somebody hand me a piece of burlap. I have a tear."
That sounds rough. Burlap is rough material.
It does sound like rough material.
And is nobody going to ask why the bad Santa isn't willing to... Oh, okay, they're still doing this bit. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So Sandra hits her magic on wooden Nutcracker Cal here. Santa's like, "I don't think you know what you're messing with." His eyes glow, and he's hitting magic on... let's see if I can get it here. Okay, close enough.
It's giving Star Wars vibes.
Kind of, yes. He's using his magic against Cal. I thought he was trying to trying to burn the wooden Nutcracker Cal into cinders. I think
that'd be rough.
Well, that's what it looked like to me. Instead, it's telling everybody, think everything merry in your lives. Mrs. Claus, like your mom, Cal, Charlie, and his kids, and you see Sandra eventually being right here. Sandra is being overpowered by Matt Santa right here. Mrs. Claus, your dad, the elves, most like Betty. Befana said soup. Chris said Chippendale. Really, Chippendale? Senator power gets stronger and makes the final push against Mad Santa with her magic. And Kel comes back. Thankfully. and he's like, he screams. Santa says, grab Cal to grab the mug. He grabs the mug. It goes back to where everybody else is. So they got the Mad Santa's like, amulet, back to me, amulet. He's trying to command the amulet to come back to him, but it's not. And Noel says to Bad Santa, this time your reign of terror is really over. Mad Santa says, Santa, if you're going to turn me into a nutcracker, can you make it quick? It's torture. So he thinks he's going to be turned back to a nutcracker again. Carol's like, actually, it was the greatest nap I ever taken. I don't feel bad at all. It's a little bit dizzy, I guess. Santa and Mrs. Claus says he's okay. Mad Santa says, hey, now listen, turning you into a nutcracker. Santa, I don't think that's what you need. And Mad Santa's like, really? Well, you're a fool, but go on. You're on the naughty list no matter. Oh, wait, no, never mind. Mad Santa says, hey, now, listen, yeah, Santa says, hey, now listen, turning you into nutcrackers. Santa, I don't think that's what you need. Mad Santa says, really? Well, you're a fool, but go on. Santa says, you're on the naughty list no matter what, but I heard what you said about my son. That means you know humans very, very well. That's good in there, very deep in there. And Mad Santa doesn't get him. Like, what's your deal? Santa says, we look at things differently. I'm more of I don't like turning children into nutcrackers sort of guy. Fair enough. That's a good point. So we go back to the toy factory with Betty and Olga. Betty turns and makes a cool stealth spaceship or some kind. Says she turned her partners into a cool stealth spaceship. And Olga's like,
Olga did?
Yeah.
It looked like one of the things she did. It looked like she turned it.
No. Betty did.
Betty. Okay.
Olga made a printed cartridge, and Betty turned it into a cool stealth spaceship. And Olga's like, how did you do that? And Betty's like, think magical thoughts and do exactly as I do with my hands. First, grab a bit of this, grab a gob of this, and a smidgen of that. It also helps you if you hum. Not a song, though. Gibberish is best. So they're both humming and building things really, really quickly. And Betty says, it doesn't make sense that we're enemies. We're both formidable beings in positions of power, yet we still beholden to the whims of, and Olga says, doofuses. Betty says, headstrong bosses. Olga says, I guess we're a lot alike. How is this? And she builds like a toaster oven, but it's like a colorful texture color pattern to it, which is that looks really neat, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it was like a Rubik's Cube of a toaster.
Yeah, it did look like that, didn't it? Let's see if I can get it here. If I can. I'm not sure if I can. Oh, yeah. There he is. Yeah. Looks really colorful of a toaster.
Yeah, it looks pretty fun.
Mm-hmm. But he says we're making Kyosek balls, but our toaster is a great first step. And then Olga chuckles. So back to the security room. Or Gary's office. Mrs. Claus questions like, Gary, did you put Magnus Anctus in jail? Gary says, does it look like something I could do? He put himself in there. It sounds like he's werewolfing himself. Whatever.
Okay, in movies where somebody knows they're going to turn into a werewolf, there's been a few movies where they put themselves in sort of a cage or something and chain themselves to the wall so they won't hurt anyone.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what he's made. He basically incarcerated and chained himself up.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Saying I don't want to hurt anyone ever else again. And Gary somehow, for some reason, calls him a diva. Like,
And he's been hitting the maple syrup too hard.
Maybe that's it. Mason says, I spent centuries ruminating on how I could take back the North Pole and destroy all the work the Santas have done, yada, yada, yada. Now, with none of that, I don't know what I'm going to do. And Santa gets it. Retirement's hard. Mrs. Claus whispers together, give up my entire career to be here. Never once complained, but sure. Oh, ouch. Dig. Santa, I know your history, and as Santa, as goes, you were extraordinary. Santa says, well, Santa says, did you enjoy any of that? Santa says, recently, I know it's going to sound stupid, but when I was on stage at Santa Polis, hearing the roar and the cheer of the crowd, that gave me true joy. And apparently Chris was in the jail cell with him for some odd reason.
That makes no sense to me.
Yeah, he was in the jail cell for him. I guess keeping him company, I guess?
I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know how to answer that question. I really don't.
I don't know. And Chris says that, that his park was better with him. And
well,
Mrs. Claus
kind of showed up together, I guess. Maybe.
Maybe.
I remember.
Mrs. Claus like, oh, we're here too. Chris says.
Wait, no. He asked to go with Mr. and Mrs. Claus. That's right. Yeah, I don't know.
Chris says, aside for all the fights, it was the best time of my life. I could always use a partner. Matt Santa said he will be honored. They shook hands. But Matt Santa says he got the final say what goes in the show. Chris says,
deal. They haggle over percentages.
Yeah, Matt Santa's like, we'll split the profit 70 and 30. Everybody looks at him. And Matt Santa's like, 50-50. And then he gets to 60-40. Like, at the last second.
And then he's like, all right, 50-50.
All right, yeah. So, Santa sees Cal. It's like, hey, there you are. Hey, how would you like an early Christmas present for your old man? Cal's like, really? Santa says, yeah. Matt Santa might have been right. I was doing something for me, trying to make you the next Santa Claus. My bad. So I want to make it up to you. And Cal's like, oh man, I can't wait. Is it a albino python? He wants a snake as a pet? Ugh, no thanks. Santa says, yeah, I put some clothes down your bed. You can keep guessing while you change. Cal says, all right, yeah, what happened to the workshop? All these ballots. No. What happened to the workshop? This is amazing. So yeah, we go to this little it looks very beautiful in the room. Yeah, what happened to the workshop? All the toys, I guess. This is amazing. Santa's like, well, son, if you were in the real world, you would be at prom. You're learning real invaluable skills like how to do the worm dance in an ill-fitted powder blue rented tux.
I'm guessing that was what he wore to prom. Woof.
Woof. That sounds uncomfortable. Santa says, so we decided to bring the prom to you. And that's when we see Riley and a very gorgeous powder blue dress.
I thought it was a darker blue.
was powder blue.
Okay, that's like maybe medium blue, I guess.
Medium blue, yeah. And it's like Cal's like Riley, and Riley's like Floofy, and we hear Eddie singing like, if you don't leave, don't leave now. Please don't take my heart away. Promise me just one thing, one more night. It's a beautiful song. I don't know if that's made up or it actually came from a song.
I think it's an actual song, but I don't. I'd have to listen to it again. I think it is an actual song.
All right.
It's an 80s song.
It's the 80s song. If you don't leave now. Please don't take my heart away. Promise me just one more night.
I'm not used to hearing it being read. The music and the tempo is like
how yeah.
But yeah, that's a I think that song was done like
in the 80s.
Yeah, mid to late 80s, I think.
Late 80s.
You can probably look it up and find out what the last song was on the show.
Then she continues singing like, we'll go our separate ways. We always had time on our side. I love the dress that Riley is wearing, though. And the elves singing, the elves are dancing.
She's like, yeah, your dad is very persuasive.
Yeah. Cal's like, I was worried I'd never see you again, especially since you said you would never see me again. Yeah. Right. He was literally crushed when she said that. And yeah, you're right. Riley said that, your dad did make a pretty convincing, compelling case. And Santa's like acting doesn't know what's going on.
I don't know when his dad had time for that, but
I don't know either. But I did get Eddie and I got the name wrong. It's Pontoon. I thought it was Toots. No, it's Pontoon. They're singing like, we gotta make it last. I touch once, I touch you twice. Sounds like a really cool song.
Yeah.
Riley says it's kind of hard to argue with Santa Claus. Santa says, I tended to be Santa Claus for quite some time because I know a young man that needs to spend time in the real world with his girlfriend going to college. And Mrs. Claus like looks at him like, college? Says yes. Experiencing the best part of life so he can make an informal decision should he decide to become the next Santa Claus. Riley says, Cal, I'm not exactly sure what, but I think he's talking about you. Well, she is. Cal's like, no way, thank you. All right, let's go. And he takes off with Riley. Santa says they're made for each other. Eddie and Pontoon are like saying, I need you like now, like I need you then. You always said we meet again. And this part is heartbreaking for me right here. So Olga is meeting Bad Santa right here, and she brings him a gift, and he's like, what's this? Olga tells him to open it, and he says, I don't believe everybody ever gave me a gift before.
That's fucked up.
And it's like some kind of weapon. Olga says it's a shoehorn. Considers this a parting gift. Like, wait, a parting gift?
Yeah, well, he's gonna go and be like helping out at Santa Land, and I guess she wants to stay up there.
Right. Matt says like, what? No, I thought you were coming back to Santa Polis with me to manage my career. And she said that is my worst nightmare. This is why we need to separate. We encourage the most toxic elements of each other, personalities. And Matt says, yes, I'm going to miss despising you. And she agrees, and they both hug. Eddie and Pontoon are like still singing in the background, saying, always said we meet again someday. And Chris is like, like, is ecstatic, saying it's an elf band, and everybody's like laughing and dancing. Mrs. Claus tells Santa, so how does it feel letting Cal go? Santa says, it's horrible. I know it's the right thing to do, but it doesn't make it any less painful. Mrs. Claus completely understands. I've been contemplating by getting overly involved in Sandra's life. And Sandra's like, hey, I can do that. I'm like, oh, she's like, oh, are you serious? She's like, oh no, what did I do? What did I do? Oh no, we're going to kill to Sandra now. Sandra is not going to like that. Oh no, what Mrs. Claus has done? Oh no. So they head over to where Sandra and La Befana are. Let's see if I can and Befana says, like, Santa, Santa said, I'm going to talk to the others about restating you to a full legendary status. Befana says, grazie, but no, I like my life the way it is. Plus, I hate sitting in meetings. Sandra says, but you have so much to offer. Befana says, I am more interested in what I have to offer you. Did you tell your parents about your latest accomplishment? What accomplishment, I wonder? Let's see if I can get it here. No. Well, close enough.
Indeed.
Mrs. Claus, like, what? No, what happened? Sandra said, I transformed the Easter Bunny back to his normal self.
To a bunny.
To his
or
normal
whatever
self.
It was, I thought. Oh, wait, no, that was before when she turned him into a bunny. That's right.
Yeah, his normal self. Sandra says, yes. Mrs. Claus says, oh, Sandra, that's amazing. How did they take it? Sandra says, not great, apparently. I thought I've heard it all, being able to talk to animals. I did learn some new words, though. It sounds like
I bet she did.
I guess the Easter Bunny had a few choice words to say about that.
Well, he got turned into a rabbit and then to a lemon. Like, I would say a few things myself.
Right?
Like, what is wrong with you people? Okay.
Yeah. So a security elf comes by, hands Santa a note. He's like, excuse me, you mean now? And the elf nods. So we go to Betty and Noel. Here. Santa asks, Mrs. Claus says, is everything okay? Betty says, I'm afraid not. My emergency breach of protocol has expired, so I need to return to Cribble Crabble immediately. Santa says, well, unless Santa grants an exception. No, get my chains of rule shoes. Wait a minute. I seem to have them on. And taps his heel. Noel says, I can't let you do that, Santa. Head elves must be held to the highest standard of behavior. Betty says, we used to say that was the only thing separating us from the gnomes. But we're friends now, so it's the only thing separating us from trolls. And Noel's like, trolls. Betty's like, truth be told, I found the real world insanely fascinating, though a bit lacking. Mrs. Claus says, I know I was wrong. Santa says, so do I. No, it wasn't with you. Maybe this time for you to take that long overdue honeymoon, huh? You sure miss you, though. Noel says, don't be sad, Santa. Oh my gosh, I won't be able to call you Santa for a while. For for a whole, no, not actually a whole year. Betty says we'll be back soon. Santa's like, I don't know. Curtis went to Credible Cabell, never came back. Neither did Bernard. But if that's your choice, I want you guys to take care of yourselves, okay? And Mrs. Claus is getting sad. He's like, Santa's like, oh boy, she's getting emotional. And she's like, I'm not getting emotional. Santa's like, yes, you are. Mrs. Claus says you two have served in North Pole for a very long time. It says like, Santa's like, here we go. She's crying, and she's like, no, I'm not. And Hank's Buddy and Noel. Santa says, yeah, I think you guys better go now before some other crisis hits the North Pole. Mrs. Claus laughs. Santa says, listen, don't forget about us. Send an icicle now and then. Both Betty and Noel said we will, and they like go through the portal. And Santa and Mrs. Claus hug. So we go to Chicago, Illinois, one more time. And we see Mad Santa and Chris in reindeer outfits. It's like 7 months later.
It makes no sense.
And they're singing Santa's Coming to Town. And the rest of the Claus family are in the audience secretly.
I don't know how secretly it is, but it's kind of obvious.
Right. Bassett's like singing, you better watch out, you better not cry, you better not pout, I'm telling you why. And both him and Chris are saying Mad Santa's coming to town. Mrs. Claus is saying they're surprisingly good. Santa agrees. I hope they play Stepmother's Clock. It's haunting, but it's really catchy. Doesn't really sound Christmas-y at all. And an old woman right next to Mrs. Claus says, who's just up as Mrs. Claus, who are you supposed to be? Mrs. Claus says, we're protectors of the North Pole. Santa says, this is Christmas. Santa says, you know it. And they give like a big family hug. Cal says, hey, Dad, we're going to get going with Christmas rounds. Santa says, yes. Let's get moving, everybody. Let's move. Come on. And man, Santa's like playing a like saxophone, I think.
Let me see.
Right here. Nope. Wait, right here.
Yes, that is a saxophone.
Yes.
I had to check. I was like,
I knew what it was. So Betty and Noel are in looks like Times Square in New York having some kind of pizza. Noel says it's so good. Betty says, I know, I'm freaking out. Noel says you are. Then we quickly go to Santa Claus, Mrs. Claus, Sandra, and Cal. Santa says ho ho ho. Betty says we hear Santa Claus above them saying ho ho ho. Betty and Noel Betty says Merry Christmas, Santa. Noel says Merry Christmas, honey buns to Betty. Then we go to the scene. Mrs. Claus is laughing, and Santa says, with Cal and Sandra behind him, and to all a good night, Merry Christmas to you. And that's it. That's the end of the episode. That's episode 6. Wanga Banga Blanga. So that's it. That's season 2 of the Santa Clauses. So what are your favorite moments from episode 5 and 6, and what you didn't like of those 2 episodes?
Well, goodness, I
I walked in here just in time for you to ask that question. It went down. Yeah, I walked in just you're asking, like, oh. It was cutesy. It's definitely on par with the rest of them. But I gotta say, I'm let down though, because like they built up to like this great big war.
Mm-hmm.
I'm picturing it looking like that shit from like, what is it, Lord of the Rings or some shit, when they're up against those weird like werewolf looking fuckers. Like I was expecting some good battling, you know? No, there's a couple of fights here and there, and then they start making toys together. I'm like, get the fuck off the screen. That's lame. I'm sorry. I wanted some like feistiness. I want something better than that fight. You're telling me that a war that's been going on for 700 years was able to be talked out for a few minutes in front of a toy making table? Get the fuck out of here. That is, I feel like that's just too much for me. Ugh.
Okay. Was that both episodes you're talking about, or just one episode?
Well, that was the whole thing, because the whole.
Oh, okay, that's the whole thing.
The whole thing was leading up to that big fight they were supposed to have.
Right.
You know? And that's all it was. It was like this, like, silliness. And like, I'm just, I feel like there should have been a little more action.
Right.
I feel like we were promised action.
Let's see here. With episode 5, I liked the fact that with the watch, the original watch you saw in the second movie that measures how many magic Santa has left. Hugo tweaked that so you can be pure. You can transform to his real self or into Santa Clauses. I liked that until the fact that I guess it malfunctioned and it was a failed test. I guess it was a good thing to see. I like the nod of I think it was episode with both 5 and 6. I should say I like the fact they had a nod to Mrs. Claus still having her, looking into my eyes and stuff like that. What she said to this kid when she was still a principal in the second movie. I thought it was a nice nod to that. And I also thought it was a nice nod to the first movie when Chris was singing Santa Claus during his first round ever as Santa, even though he didn't look like Santa at first at that time. I thought it was a really nice nod to those two movies. Let's see here. I like the story behind how Mad Santa became, Mad Santa and how he is. The stuff I didn't like, well, I do agree with you. 700 years, Olga and Betty were going to fight out, and it just turned into a nothing burger and ended up like, making toys together at the end. I was bummed out about that. It wasn't really a fight that I thought it would be. Wasn't again, there wasn't really not really a real fight with Santa and Mad Santa that I thought it'd be. It was just like a tug of war kind of thing. Nothing really actual battle or anything like that. I didn't like the fact Riley and Cal break up from the previous episode, stuff like that. I forgot. I did like the fact that Santa felt bad being selfish with his son and brought the prom to him and brought Riley back to him, and they like made up and boyfriend or girlfriend together, stuff like that. I thought that was really, really nice. Perfect send off. to that. And yes, I do agree with you. Maybe Chris is foreshadowing he has some kind of magic, and maybe it'll be a foreshadowing to season 3. Don't know if that's the case, but I guess we'll find out eventually. But yeah, that's my thoughts of those 2 episodes. So what did you thought about the season overall, Myra, for season 2? Myra?
Yeah, sorry, I was talking to my kitten.
Sorry. So, what are your thoughts about season 2 overall?
I think it needed more action, but I mean, it was kind of okay. But like when you have a bad guy, I expect something to happen to the bad guy, and it's like, I mean, how are you gonna be mad for 700 years and then feel bad about it? Like that's just weird. It's like, what are you gonna do with yourself now? Good Lord.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm Irish and Scottish, and if we just don't, we're mad for a real long time, we don't just get over it. You know, we got to wind down from that shit. So,
indeed. For me, the season 2, a little bit lacklustering than the last season. It was slow going at first, but I say like almost right at the end, that's where it really picks up pace.
Yeah, that's still the last bit though.
Regardless, I thought it was really wholesome season. Some action, but not a lot that it could be. There were like beautiful moments in there. I would definitely give this second season a try for sure, and I would definitely watch the second season again. Definitely, and I enjoy it. Tim Allen Descended is part of my childhood. So I'm loving this this TV show, the second season of it. And who knows? We might be getting a third season here, but I guess only time will tell about that eventually. But definitely a thumbs up for this second season. And that's it. Thank you so much, guys, for coming over. Don't forget to hit the like button and share the stream out and click that subscribe button if you like what you see here. And Merry Christmas to you all and Happy New Year. And I'm going to say goodnight and see you guys later.
Hugs to all.
Hugs to all. And good night.
Meow meow.
Meow meow. If this is your first time being here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at RaquelSSG2211. Catch you later.